Okay, this is still Fafanua Afrika. Now, to have this conversation with us today, we have Mr. Akpobi Elvis. He's an executive director for Not Too Young to Lead initiative. He's going to be joining us on this conversation. And we also have Mr. Oluwagbenga Oyebanji. He's a public affairs commentator. And we have students from all across universities in Nigeria. It's wonderful to have everyone in the studio today. So let's just check in. Mr. Elvis, are you with us? We have Mr. Elvis with us. Okay, so while we're waiting, I want to start with Mr. Oyebanji. Why do you think that Africa's young population is an economic opportunity?
Yeah, we look at the demography of Africa, you will realize that the youth have been very, very integral. You will realize that the youth have been very, very integral to where Africa is today. So let's take a vivid example from Nigeria. Sometimes we underestimate how far we have come in this country. If we trace back Nigeria as a country historically, 1925, thereabouts, some young person in this country came together, they formed a political movement. It metamorphosed into Nigerian youth movement. So our forebears, the people that fought for independence, they did this in their youthful days. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was 41 years old when he formed Action Group. The person that moved independence motion in 1957, the same Pa Anthony Anauro, was less than 30 years old. So let's fast forward again. In the 80s, most of the young people that stood against the military in the 90s, they were youths. And sometimes we need to change the narrative sometimes. And you can't even underestimate what the young people of this generation have contributed. If you look at Andela, Inyolua, Boyeji, Benga, Bola, what they have achieved with Flutterwave. So I want us to start looking at how we can change the mindset of our young people. We don't have any other place except this country. At every 4 Africans, you have a Nigerian. Nigeria has like 25% of African population presently. So in the next 25 years, it's going to double. So projected by United Nations and all the world population body, they said Nigerian population will be around 500 million by 2050. So that's not a joke. And some of the young people we have now, in the next 25 years, they will be in their 40s. And if you even look at it generally, 70% of Nigerians' population, they are under 30 years old. And we can't take that for granted. So where were we? Where are we now? And I want us to start changing the conversation from Nigeria is not good to it will be better.
Okay. Thank you so much. So we're going to continue this conversation in a bit, but right now we have to go over to our correspondent, Mercy Babajide, as we continue our coverage of the Osun State governorship election, the road that leads to the election that's happening on the 15th of August. So we're going to cross over to Mercy as she's with the commissioner right now. Okay, welcome back. That was just, we were just with Mercy Babajide as she spoke to the Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner for the upcoming Osun State elections that's happening next Saturday on the 15th of August. Now, back to our conversation in the studio. Before we went over to Mercy, we were speaking to Mr. Oyebanji about the young population of Nigeria. Right, but I do want to throw this question to Mr. Elvis Akpobi. Mr. Elvis, are you with us? Okay, Mr.
Hello?
Elvis, can you hear us?
I can hear you very
Thank
well.
you very, very much for joining the conversation today. So I want to ask, you're the executive director for Not Too Young to Lead. So that means that you do work with a lot of young people. I want to ask what you think. Is Nigeria's young population an economic opportunity?
Yes, it is. Firstly, I always tell people that our greatest asset as Nigerians is not crude oil, is not zinc, is not the gold being mined, it's not. Our greatest asset is in the untapped potentials of our large young population. Every government every country that wants to succeed must invest in their young population. Singapore, most of these foreign countries are doing it, and we're blessed with the flow of our time, which is the digital technology of this generation. And for me, so I know some states are doing that already, but it's time every state government leverage on using technology to create more jobs for young people, because if these people are engaged, if young persons are engaged, mostly if their potentials are tapped, nobody will want to escape this country. That's one. Nigeria today, let's use China as an example. Africa seems to be moving to China. The magic happening in China today is not being done by the old population in China. It's done by the young population in China. So if China can achieve that, I think even Nigeria will surpass that of China. It's just that we've not really channeled our energy to the right place, which is deliberately investing in young people and creating opportunities where young people can live their dreams. That's what I think.
Okay, so I want to then bring it back to the studio, right? We've heard the numbers. As they say, by 2050, every 1 out of 4 people in the world would be African, which means that we are growing fast, and a lot of that, a high percentage of that are people under the age of 20 and more, so also under the age of 30 as well. Do we think that this is a strength as young people? Do we think that having these many, the numbers that we have, our numbers a strength?
Okay, my name is Koinsola Adekoya. I'm a student of Babcock University. It's going to be a strength if we take the opportunities that we have. Like, if there is opportunities, yeah. If we take these opportunities very well, it's going to be a strength for us, and we would grow very well. But if there is a lack and there is no stable economy, there is unemployment and the rest, I feel there's going to be an effect for us, the citizens.
Okay. You want to say something?
My name is Obiani Otsto-Dilichko, and I'm a student at Babcock University. If our population can, either be a strength or a weakness, depending on whether we actually invest in our young people. Because, if you don't put much investment, especially in education, you are not going to be able to have a workforce that would, bring you about economic benefit or economic growth. So human capital development should be a focus for all African countries, because a lot of our youths today, right now, not all of them are, should I say, educated up to the standards. I won't say that everybody in Africa is educated, because there are still a lot of people that have not been able to, afford or even have the opportunity to go to school. So government should invest in education, most specifically in education, healthcare, and so many other infrastructures that would actually be beneficial to this growing population. If not, this thing can become a weakness, and it would bring devastating effects upon any country or even the whole continent itself.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to ask a question to my people on this side. They've mentioned how our population can be a benefit if the right structures are put in place. Who is responsible for putting these structures in place? Did you want to say something? Okay. Here.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Confidence Chibueze. I think we are talking about Africa as a whole, And I really want to ask, what is the work of the African Union? Because I think this is where they come in. I was reading a lot of articles about the African Union, and why they came in was because they wanted to stabilize the economy, they wanted to boost Africa's unity, and a whole lot of things, and these are things they've not done. Truth, with our population, if we could become the best continent in the whole world. But then again, the people in charge of boosting, the people in charge of helping this young population thrive, what are they doing? You tend to see that in the regime of African Union, that is the African Union at the top, you tend to see that most African countries are sweeping into military regime. And this military regime would not, let us be realistic with ourselves, in as much as in Nigeria we don't really like democracy. But the truth of the matter is that this military regime would not help the development of African youth. Aside from that, what are they putting in place? If you go to South Africa, South Africans are chasing people away because there are no jobs for them, and they want other African people to go back to their country. Now, what is the African Union saying about this? I'm so angry with ECOWAS, because ECOWAS, since Ghanaians, Nigerians, which other country they chase away? Yes. What has ECOWAS said? Because we're talking about African youth. I think at this point, the truth is, I don't want people to actually misunderstand me, to be very honest. Our population can be a very good advantage. But at the moment, our population is looking like a curse. Because if you go to South Africa, because of the high number of population, there are no jobs. If you come to Nigeria, because of the high number of population, there are no jobs. I think Akwa Ibom has one of the highest out-of-school children in Nigeria. This is the population we are talking about. How do you train? How do you want confidence to become a very good entrepreneur like the Chinese? And I don't go to school. These are the things we are talking about. Nobody is talking. Everybody is just after their pocket. European Union, ECOWAS, African Union, who again? What is Nigeria's own code? Do we have an organization? Nobody is saying anything. Nobody is doing anything. And we want our youth to fast forward us to become the best continent in the world. Okay. Let's look at countries with lesser population. Okay. I mean, let's look at countries like Iceland. Can we even compare Angola? Can we compare South Sudan? Can we compare DR Congo with much bigger population with Iceland? What about Ireland? What about those countries?
Okay, confidence. So I hear you, but I do want to. Can I have the mic? Thank you. So I've heard everything that you're. Okay, you want to say something, Mr. Obi? Okay.
Yes. Confidence. I feel your pain, but I want us to look at data. Well, that's where we know where we are going, and we can know where we are coming from. Okay, let's look at the basics. Now, macroeconomically, the macro, we are getting it right. But the greatest problem I think we have now is the micro. Now, I'm not here to sing anybody's praises, but for the first time in a very long time, Nigeria tends to be moving in the right direction. If you look at the indicators, if you look at what, the fiscal policy and the monetary policy, the subsidy removal, I know many of you would disagree, but I understand. Yes. No, I understand. Okay, let me just put some light into it. Now, the FAC, Federal Account Allocation Committee, they call it FAC. So that means the money distributed every month. The federal government takes 52%, the state and the local government take 48%. Now, this is now the problem. If you look at the money that has been given to the local government and the state government, in the last 24 months, it's very annoying. Now, if we have 774 local governments in Nigeria presently. Mm-hmm. Now, an average local government collects more than 1.5 billion every month. If you look at the 774 local governments, 85% of these local governments are rural local governments. Now, when we say Nigeria, we are not talking about Lagos. We are talking about 35 other states. In Lagos, at every 10 young persons that looks for a job, 8 might get a job. It might not be a sustaining job. Listen. What we are talking about is, let's use data.
Okay.
Now, it will shock you. At every 10 young persons that looks for a job in Sokoto, 2 might get employed. And it's worse in the north. So I think where we need to now direct our attention to are the subnationals. So if a state government is collecting like 20 billion every month, what is it doing with the money? You're not getting what I'm saying. Now, you don't know how powerful you are. You have something called, the physics inclined student here, the meaning of potentials. The young people, they are the engine room of the economy. We can't do without them. And if you look at Nigeria historically, independence was possible because of the youths. The great Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Amadu Bello, they were young people when they started the revolt of independence. When the military was getting so unbearable for everybody, the president of this country became the governor at the age of 46. So it is not going to be given to us. I'm a young person too, but I'm older. So when I see younger people between the ages of 18 and 30 not having direction, it pains me. And again, you have a moral and civic duty. How many of you have PVC? No, I just want to know. I'm just curious. If you have PVC, raise up your hand. Surely. Where's your local government? Your local government? Where? Ogun State? Or your state? Is that where you are going to vote?
If I go back to that.
You see?
You're
supposed to have transferred to where where you stay, which is Lagos. We need political education.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Ibanji. Sorry, one moment. Let's not forget that we still have Mr. Akpobi with us. Mr. Akpobi, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so we're having this conversation about, who's responsible for creating the jobs and, seeing as if we put the right structures in place, then we can take advantage of our population. But let's bring it down to reality, not potential, not hope. Right now, we do not have the structures in place. Does this imply that our population is a liability?
No, our population is not a liability, because amidst the bleakness we face today, we still have some Nigerians, young Nigerians, who are not, they are not complacent. They are not making excuses. They are still turning dreams into a reality, despite the resistance in policy, no steady power supply. We have insecurity on the other end, but people are still doing things. The young people are still doing things. But for me, I believe it's a two-way thing, in the sense that the government should put structures in place. I'm a graduate of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Study, and I was taught in my course then that everything rises and falls on leadership. And it's policymakers that build structures that citizens leverage on. So, like he said, we're getting it gradually, because the working status quo of our country, should anybody come out and tell you that we turn this country around overnight, the person is telling lies. We're going to go through a lot to get to where we need to be. And I think from some of the policies that are coming out lately, I think we'll get there. But we are citizens too need to play our role, because for me, I don't have any other country except Nigeria. I've been to other countries. I know that there's no place like home. We all need to come back as young people, mostly the leaders. I asked the leader the other day that, is this the kind of country you want to live for your kids? Because nature abhors that thing. You grow old. When you are old and your kids know that you are older, you head a position, and they ask you, what policy did you do? What did you do to solve most of our problems? What are you going to tell your children then? It shouldn't really give me much respect, but we all have a role. As citizens, as leaders, we all have a role to play. Then we, the young people, I noticed that another thing we're facing again is we don't have a unifying factor. It's either we are divided more along political lines, we are divided along social strata, we are divided along ethnicity and all that. And something that is very much important is poverty. Poverty has made a lot of young people lose their sense of humor. People don't think right. When you see white, you call it black. When you see black, you call it white, because everybody wants to eat the next meal. But the thing is, we all can come together to fix our country. We all can come together to add our voices to things that are not right.
Thank you.
We're blessed with the tool of our time. We'll use social media to change the narrative from bring back our girls to not to run bills to ladies now behind men in Saudi Arabia. You can do same mostly in our democracy, even as we gravitate towards the elections. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Akpobi. I want to ask the young people in the studio. Everybody here is, going to school, has either just graduated or is still in school, right? When you look at the future of your career, the trajectory of your career, do you think that the economy is creating jobs that match the population growth? So it's not a question of are there jobs. It is if, and this is not statistics, just a random number. Imagine that you are putting out, actually, no, I think the statistics say that Africa puts out, I think, 10 to 15 million people into the workforce, right? And only has 3 million jobs. Now, bringing it back home to Nigeria, from what we've seen, are we putting out enough jobs to match the people that are becoming of working age?
All right, so my name is Joseph. Joseph Falu, University of Lagos. So the answer to that is an absolute no. It's no. And I would like to take us back a bit. I would say our population, for us as Africans, it's a huge liability. And the moment we are ready to accept that, that is when we can actually prosper. You know, when the Bible said, be fruitful and multiply, Africans took it personally. So the moment you understand that, okay, yes, you should manage the population, create jobs, like tell those that are making babies, please pause on that and let us look at how we can expand the workforce. Look at education, for example. There are implementations that are brought into the educational sector, but you are not able to see fast results because some of these public schools are overpopulated. Look at the health sector too. Is the health sector entirely that bad? No, there are facilities in some places, but because they are overloaded, every single space you walk into, too many people are there. Bus stops, airports, everywhere. Too many people. That is why we are not able to enjoy the facilities enough. So I don't understand why some people are saying data. I believe those that are saying data, they are the lefties, and those that are saying policies, they are the righties. We need to come to the center and understand that the data and the policies, they meet somewhere, and that is where the reality is. Okay. It is a liability.
Thank you so much. We're going to go on a quick break. When we come back, the conversation continues. This is still Fafanua Afrika. Okay, it has been a very intense session here at the studio. Now we're pressed for time, but I do want to ask us one final question. We're talking about, so you said that our population is a liability. Mr. Akpobi thinks that it is not a liability, right? My final question is it that we don't have enough jobs, or maybe the problem is what we are classifying as jobs?
We do not have enough.
Okay, please.
No, it's going to be very short. It's going to be very short.
Okay.
The thing is, the question is it that we don't have enough jobs? And I want to ask again, do we even have jobs? For people that study mass communication, for a set in a university, you have about 250 people graduate. Now, let us multiply it times how many universities we have in Nigeria. That is over 1,000 people. How many people is a media house willing to employ in a year? Let's probably say 5 out of 1,000. Now, next year, another 1,000 joins, and that media house is also willing to employ another 5. Now, the question now is, do we even have a job?
Okay, thank you. Wait, so as final thoughts, I want to hear Mr. Oyebanji.
Now we need to change the conversation. We need to start reorientating ourselves. Do you know about a guy called Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI? The guy is 30 years old. He founded OpenAI at the age of 22. Now the guy is a billionaire. Now we need to now change the narratives to STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. The 21st century billionaires are going to be from AI. Don't just sweat it. And that's the truth.
Okay, sorry, confidence, hold on.
The question is now, this is the 21st century, but when we look back to the education, in schools, they are not teaching us the 21st century. They are teaching us the 19th and 20th.
Okay, let's hear. Confidence, let me hear her.
Africa's population is a liability because if you look at it, if you enter any street in Lagos, Nairobi, Kenya, anywhere, what you see, you can't see an idle youth. All you see is an hustler. And hustlers, like also born out of depression, is going to crash down whether we like it or not.
Agreed.
So now, what the government has to do, all African governments, including the ECOWAS, including AU, all they have to do is to come up and make the population a very good prosperity to the economy. In terms that we have to go back to agriculture, we have to have good health economy, we have to have medical good health infrastructure.
Our curriculum education
has to be changed.
Agreed.
That's how Africa is going to be. And when we go into the politics also, we don't want old people to lead Africa again. We need the youth to come up and make it.
The thing that we're saying is that we want the African governments and economies to provide things that will actually support our youth. We need to ask this question: that are they creating opportunities even in our education factors for these new things that are coming out? You're talking about artificial intelligence. Yes, artificial intelligence matters. It matters a lot, but our education systems, are they teaching us towards those things? No. They aren't. A lot of things in schools, they're just relying on theory things, a lot of memorizations, but that doesn't
even
matter.
the computer science students, they don't know AI.
Into practical things. Okay. We need to move into issues, into like equipping our youths with practical skills.
Guys, if everybody is speaking at the same time, we really cannot hear anybody.
Confidence.
So,
Okay.
do you know that in my school, when I was learning newspaper, I mean, newspaper has transformed now. In my school, I was learning newspaper. Do you know they used to teach me how to draw newspaper on a paper and use ruler and do kicker and rider. That is not what is on trend now.
Thank you very much. So we're gonna take final thoughts from Mr. Oyeba.
So, like,
But I'm going to hear from Mr. Oyeba.
Sorry, I'm using this opportunity to tell our policymakers, based on what all of you have said, I can see that an average Nigerian young person knows what to do.
Yes, we do. Yes, but there are no opportunities.
The policymakers now have to start changing the policies in education.
Thank you, sir.
We need more tech-oriented education. We need more technical. Now, look at China. Look at China. Now, today, the most industrialized nation in the world is China.
China is in 2066.
Yeah. And they started this 1978 by a guy called Deng Xiaoping. Now, I want to appeal to our policymakers.
Okay.
Listen to these young people.
Yes.
Because that is the way to
Thank you so
Thank you, sir.
Okay, guys. I love that we're excited, but we're pressed for time. But we have to go to Mr. Akpobi. Any final thoughts on this conversation, sir?
Okay, I always believe that if we found the problems, we are halfway solving it. Like one of the future of our country said there, what are we being taught? Are we taught the right thing in school? I can tell you that the curriculum I used as a university student 10 years ago is still what they are teaching people at the moment. So I think we should gravitate from analog type of education to digital education. If we really want to compete, we want Nigeria to compete with our contemporaries outside Nigeria. And government at all levels should get policies that will engage young people, that will support young people to invest more in Nigeria because we're blessed with potential. We just need those potentials to be harnessed. You can see that every World Cup today, there's one Nigeria always, even we didn't go for the last World Cup, but we were playing Nigeria songs. Yes. There are other things that took place in that World Cup that Nigerians were involved. So even with the bleakness, with the lack of good leadership and all that, if we young Nigerians are still putting us in the world map positively, I think once we have enablement, we'll do better.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akobi. Thank you for joining the conversation with us. And thank you to my studio guests today as well. I just want to leave you with this final thought, right? Africa's population boom is already happening. Whether we like it or not, we are here today. So the question is no longer whether will we have more people. It is what we are going to do with them. So if we can turn our young population into skilled workers, entrepreneurs, innovators, and creators, then our numbers could become one of our greatest strengths. But that future won't happen automatically. It will require governments, businesses, and young Africans themselves to make deliberate choices today. The population is the potential. What we build with that potential will determine Africa's prosperity. I am Ekemini Jane. This has been Fafanua Afrika. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you same time next week. Goodbye.